Hello, and welcome to Candidates Upfront, a public interest election program of Berks Community Television and the League of Women Voters of Berks County. Our November 7th general election is coming up. Citizens who are 18 or older will vote for judges, school directors, and township, borough, and city officials. The deadline to register to vote is October 23rd. To check your voting status, go to vote.pa.gov. That's vote.pa.gov. You can register, change your party, locate your polling place, or apply for an absentee or mail-in ballot. And the deadline to apply for those is October 31st. If you are looking for information on statewide, school, or township races or borough officials, please use the League's online voters guide, vote411.org. That's vote411.org. And for information on countywide and Reading candidates, please stay tuned. The League interviewed candidates in contested races, those who wanted to be interviewed, and for each race, the candidates got the same basic questions and had the same amount of time to answer them. For the League, I'm Judith Cranus, and let's begin.
Hello, I'm Kay Herring, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Berks County. There are two candidates that are competing for a chance to be Berks Register of Wills. They are Democrat Adrian Jadek and Republican Suzanne Myers. You may vote for one. The Register of Wills has jurisdiction over the admission of wills to probate. She schedules cases and keeps records for the Orphans Court. The Register collects Pennsylvania inheritance taxes and issues marriage licenses. The term is for 4 years, and the salary is $101,485. Each candidate's views are their own and not those of the League or BCTV. This interview is with Adrian Jadek, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Kate.
Please start off by telling our viewers about yourself and why are you running for this office?
So like I told you before, the interview is going to be a longer story. I was born in Romania. I lived in several countries and worked together with my wife. We lived in Germany and Canada, and then we came to the United States and eventually settled in Berks County. I have a very diverse experience and background. I've lived in many cultures. I understand cultures. I understand multiculturalism. And as someone who has fought for the fall of communism, I value a lot transparency, accountability in government. And for those who know me, I have brought those convictions here. I've been fighting for transparency and accountability at several levels in government.
Great. Maybe you told us a little bit about your background.
Yes.
What specifically would you like to tell us about your education?
Right.
Or training?
I was formally educated as an engineer. I have a master's degree in engineering. Somewhere along the way, I worked as a teacher, as a high school math teacher. I also, when our second daughter was born, we decided for me to become a stay-home dad. And so I have done that, until she went to school and a little bit further, because after that, just like every stay-home parent, you become a soccer mom. I was a tennis dad, so we just went to tournaments. We did so many things. And that's somewhere in this portion, I decided to apply for a non-traditional license. We lived in Arkansas at the time. And I really enjoyed my time as a math teacher of Algebra 2 and pre-calculus.
Okay.
And yeah, go ahead.
Anything else? that you
Well,
wanna add
I
to
guess
that,
you're
or-
going to have more questions.
I'll
so
ask a few more questions and you can keep
there
talking.
is enough there.
About
Thank
your
you.
background. In fact, the next one is really talk about your personal qualities
Correct.
that you would bring to the office of Register of Wills. I mean, what personal qualities do you have will make you a good fit for this position?
Yes. Well, first of all, I worked in systems engineering and administration, and it is a system. And it's all about optimizing and finding the best way, finding the most efficient and cost-efficient way to do things. And that's how I see myself as a head of that department, to coordinate and always be on the lookout for newer ways to do things better and save taxpayers' money. I also, as a teacher, I've learned to work with various backgrounds, with kids, with some had issues, and that helped me, to have a better understanding of working with people, closely with people.
Okay, great, thank you. More specific now about the office and what you would be doing. How would you balance the needs for preservation of the records with the need to have the public have access to the records?
Yes, so this is where my technical and computer skills would come in. I want to look more and implement newer technologies. But in essence, in short, it's about digitizing. This is what we have today. In the future, we may have some other ways. And of course, preserving and finding ways to preserve historic documents for researchers and other agencies to consult.
What should voters know about this office? I know one of the things that I am always learning in doing these interviews is what these positions actually do. So maybe you could talk about what should the voters know about Register of Wills and how is this important to them?
So the office itself deals with a lot of issues that people may have throughout their lives, from good things to not so good things. It's not just about Register of Wills. It's probably just a short way of describing the office. We also issue marriage licenses. We also deal with guardianship of minors or people with disabilities. And and of course, it's the process of probate of estate wills. And when a person passes, and really at this point, you deal with people who are going through a difficult time, and that's where empathy and and understanding comes into play.
Thank you. Could you please explain what registering a will means and why is it a county function?
Why is it a county function? Well, registering wills is in short, again, it's a process in which a will is presented. When someone passes, a will is presented, verified, and then a whole lot of other procedure until the whole transaction is closed. In essence, it's handled by the courts, but the Office of Register of Wills oversees this process and looks to maintain proper records. Why is it a county function? Is because that's the Pennsylvania law. So,
Okay. Can you explain what the Orphans Court does?
The Orphans Court is a misnomer in essence. It's not necessarily, it's historically known as such, But it does a lot of things. And issuing marriage license is one of them. Like I said before, they also do guardianships, and they has also many fiduciary duties that deal with guardianships, or either minors or people with disabilities.
Okay, thank you. Many people hearing what the Register of Wills office does wonder why is it an elected position? You could hire a records retention expert at far less than $100,000, some people might suggest.
Correct.
Do you feel that it needs to be an elected position? And if you could explain why or how you feel about that.
Well, there are two aspects of this question. The question is hiring of an expert, would that, because the answer varies depending on which side you mean. Would that mean hiring a private subcontractor, which could happen, and in other, other local governments do hire private contractors for other reasons, but this could also be done. Or simply hiring a person within the county offices to do that. And again, this comes to Pennsylvania law, and there's a whole history about it. But the disadvantages, I'll treat each one separately. The disadvantages, of course there are advantages like anything else, but one of the disadvantages of hiring a private contractor would be that that particular person does not abide by the transparency laws like the Sunshine Act and the laws of government. They would be just a private contractor. On the other hand, the issue with having a non-elected person, and this is where the decision has been made some time ago that it's better, it provides for better ethics. That person carries the duties somewhat with a certain independence from the commissioners. And if someone would be just a hire, the commissioners could interfere with the work. And, that's what actually the law is trying to prevent, ethics issues and things that shouldn't happen. So trying to and I do think it's a good idea. Yes, it's a little bit more government, but it also provides for transparency, accountability to the voters, and so on.
Okay. If you are elected, what do you plan to accomplish in your 4-year term? Whether you want to look at that as first things to do or overall, what do you?
Yes, of course I have. And again, I'm going to start by this. I see myself as an elected person, as a head of an office. And although I'm a very detail-oriented individual, being an engineer, of course, and I have to take care of the overall policy. And this is my primary duty over there, is taking care of the overall policy of the office, and not get into the nitty-gritty. But a few things that I am adamant about is modernizing, looking at newer technologies. There's so many things to talk about, and I don't want to run out of time. Yeah. The other thing is very important to me is outreach, community outreach, explaining, just like you asked me before, explaining to the community what this office is about. I was just, and I'm going to use this short example, just yesterday I was here at Centro Hispano at an event that dealt with expungement. And I thought this would be such a great way to reach out to the community. We have a diverse community, and many come from various backgrounds, and a lot of people do not know what this office does and how important it is to take steps ahead of time, take steps before you need it, and the trouble that you can get if you don't, or may get. So so this is one thing I would do, reach out to various nonprofit organizations to try to create a community outreach and improve on them. And there is more.
We have
Bill
a little
has-
bit of time
but
left.
Bill has
Maybe
the red thing on.
you probably have about a half a minute, but if you can wrap that in just make your closing statement, with your accomplishments. You
With
have
the
just a
accompli-
little bit of time.
Well, one thing I would, I think it's important. I would do. I would work and advocate for an elimination or finding a threshold from which inheritance taxes are not applied. What I'm trying to say is there is and again, this would not be my decision. I would just work on it. We have to work with the legislature and the Pennsylvania legislature and change the law. To finish that example, federal only taxes above 12.9 million. Now we don't have to go that high, but it's also important to understand that the people on lower income levels, we need to give them a break and find, a sweet spot, because Pennsylvania relies on these taxes for income, but we have to find a sweet spot from which we can provide that relief. And I am in favor of finding that spot to help
Okay.
the lower income families.
Well, thank you, Adrian Jadik. Thank you for sharing your views with us. Viewers, please remember there is another candidate for Register of Wills, Suzanne Myers. You vote for one. You will find candidates upfront interviews on BCTV, its website, and the YouTube page. And you can also go to the League's online voters guide at vote411.org. Thank you very much for watching Candidates Upfront. I'm Kay Herring. Have a good day.